He's trying to undermine the media.
Trying to make up his own facts.
Control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
I'm the crook. Repeat the line.
That is our job.
God bless you. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up had cancer.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is Ryan. Ryan is currently working two jobs, the most important job you can work, which is the podcast host at The Weekly Show, and the second most important job, which of course is being a dad. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to all the videos. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Most importantly, on the Rumble. Rumble is the free speech alternative to YouTube. Today on the show, of course, we're going to be talking about the FBI raid of Trump's Mar-A-Lago mansion. We are also going to be talking about a few other things. The WHO, the WEF are back in the news because we said they are. And White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, of course, on ABC talking about inflation and the Inflation Reduction Act. Ryan, before we get into the show, do you have anything of utmost importance that you need to say?
First of all, hello. Second of all, you told me this week that we pussy slayer.
Oh shit! Hold on. Sorry. Wrong cut. Ryan, go with whatever you were gonna say. That's my bad.
I am a pussy slayer, but
we can edit that out later.
Don't edit it. It's great. All right, I'll start over. 3, 2, 1. First of all, hello. Second of all,
this is a very serious news program. I'm Walter on kite.
Oh my god. All right, we'll really start over and just cut this whole bullshit out of here. Pussies.
I feel like this is what everybody would have wanted. We have delinquents who watch, Ryan. It's fine. All right, we'll start. We're gonna start this over. Hold on, we're starting over. All right, everyone ready?
Take it from the fucking top.
All right, we gotta hold on. Let me just drop our banner on real quick here.
We're starting over everything, right? Follow us on OnlyFans.
No shit. Sorry, my bad. I'm off my game today. I am off my game today. That is my bad. That's my bad. This
is better than when you had a dump and you had that cut of me burp.
That's my bad, everybody. Let's just jump into the news clip. This is Karine Jean-Pierre on ABC.
Our poll that came out, ABC News Ipsos, that came out last Sunday, showed that just 37% of Americans approve of President Biden's handling of the economy. 70% say they thought the economy was getting worse.
It's like, we get it. We understand what the American people are feeling at this time. This is a number one priority. Inflation has been a number one priority for this president. Lowering costs has been a number one priority for this president. If you look at every day this summer, we saw gas prices go down by more than $1. How inflation abated. You look at the CPI data last month in July, 0% of inflation.
But let me ask you, it's called the Inflation Reduction Act. But the Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan, said that there would be a negligible impact on inflation this year and barely impact inflation at all next year. I mean, isn't it almost Orwellian? How can you call it Inflation Reduction Act when the nonpartisan experts say it's not going to?
So I appreciate that. I appreciate the question. Making sure that billionaires in corporate America are paying their fair share, making sure that the tax code is a little bit more fair. And so when you do that, when you put it in its totality, you will see that it will bring down, lower the deficit, which will help fight inflation.
Ryan, I feel like first and foremost, ABC anchor saying Orwellian is one of my favorite things that's happened so far this year. Just trying to sound like us.
I don't. I actually was jotting some stuff down while she was flapping her fucking face. They're gonna rebrand Orwell. I know I said it that they're gonna Winston, and I was joking, but and I also came on the program and told you that they're gonna rewrite 1984 from the female perspective. That was some article in the UK, but they are gonna rebrand Orwell. If they have redefined what recession and gender and all these other definitions are, I've heard Orwellian used by Bill Maher and now a corporate media press head. That tells me that they are greasing the skids to replace the word Orwell with something.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, we will watch it unfold because people don't even know what that means to begin with, the average person, let alone by the time that we're going to need to know what the word Orwellian means, it's going to be changed. Orwell actually wrote a book about this called Animal Farm, where the animals start about a certain, oh my God.
Yeah, he was on it for sure. Two things.
He just made it up though, right, Dave? It wasn't.
I do appreciate him using a term like Orwell, but there's two things that he really, really failed on. And if we expect the media to be journalists and to push back against narratives instead of just pushing narratives, which is what they do now, when she said gas went down $1 this summer and she went totally unchecked, not saying gas didn't go down $1 during the summer, but how about the fact that it's still up since they took office? Didn't mention it. Also, she put the number out that we saw on the White House Facebook page pushing that in July inflation was 0%. Well, no, it wasn't. It was 8.5%. It just didn't change before. So these are the terms that they're using, and I don't blame them. They're politicians. Of course, they're trying to spin it and make them look good, but where's the journalism? Where's the person pushing back, fighting against the narrative, not pushing with the narrative?
Dave, at what point is journalism, though, even if they ask the questions, if the people never see the answers, it doesn't matter? You know, this is the whole idea of like people just getting their information by seeing one or two news article headlines a week, and then they judge political ideologies based on a few headlines and things they hear from their friends that they think are smarter than them on the topic. But that's really they could ask all the questions they want, but do you really think Facebook is going to let that bubble to the top of the algorithm? Do you think Instagram is going to let that bubble up to the top of their algorithm? TikTok's going to let that bubble up to their top of their algorithm when chicks with super shorts on just take all the money?
No, there's no chance. Also, in speaking of journalism being dead, the IRS, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, of course, they were hiring, Ryan, and I don't know if you had a chance to apply, but a couple of things they were looking for, as you would expect from a good IRS agent, adhere to the highest standards of conduct. Work a minimum of 50 hours a week, maintain the level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations, carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force, be willing and able to participate in arrests, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. So pretty standard IRS stuff, just a bunch of nerds crunching numbers at the desk.
Dave, what's the IRS supposed to do again?
Oh, they Internal Revenue Service, they just check over like people's taxes.
And they need to be trained murderers to do that job. They need to go murder those numbers when they're crushing them.
Well, I mean, you never know what the day's going to bring you, Ryan.
Dude, how is that not the most generic fuck? Dude, I gotta think for me, for an electrician in Antarctica. I thought it was bullshit until I clicked on it. It was ran by the National Science Foundation. They were going to pay like $2,000 a week and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is super sweet. But the job requirements for that were way longer.
Did you have to carry a firearm and
It's 3 bullet
be trained to use deadly force?
No, probably not. I probably just need to know how to build fire and stay the fuck alive.
You know, we were talking recently about school shootings back when people cared about school shootings. And I have always said that if you allow teachers, not force teachers, but allow teachers to carry a firearm in schools, that certainly would help. But of course, we've been told that's too dangerous and teachers should not be allowed to. But why is the IRS carrying firearms? Does that seem necessary at any point for the IRS to carry? I mean, in all seriousness, the IRS having a firearm doesn't make any sense at all. Unless they're going to weaponize the IRS, of course.
Why would they weaponize the IRS, David?
Well, you know, you gotta collect those dollars from the billionaires who are just, you know, cheating the tax code. You gotta do it somehow.
I don't know what the number was, but the IRS has like millions of rounds of ammunition. Like 7 million rounds of ammunition. Do you remember when we always hear about people? Yeah, on top of an ammo shortage, we're always told that the people that own the most amount of firearms and ammunition in the state of the states and in America in general are they call them like mass gun collectors, right? Like that have armories. I think they classify an armory at like 100 or 50 guns, or some states don't have classifications. It gets dicey with the actual dumb termage. But the whole point is, you always highlight these people in times of violent tragedies like school shootings, mall shootings, like the one that was stopped a few weeks ago by a man carrying a pistol, and all these other scenarios that you like to highlight, the corporate press likes to highlight, but we're not discussing, except Fox News or Alex Jones, isn't discussing how these Homeland Security, Department of whatever, IRS, it doesn't matter. I'm sure DMV has a SWAT team at this point. You know, I know the Department of Agriculture has one, if I'm not mistaken. So these people
weren't we talking recently about maybe not even recently, maybe months ago, but the USPS, the people who
right
deliver
around the
mail,
election.
Yeah, the people who deliver mail weren't they granted access to like spy on you or something along? I don't remember the exact story, Ryan. Do you remember?
Yeah, they were going to work with Department of Homeland Security for like election security or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what you want your mail carriers doing. Sorry, your mail didn't get there. They were busy ensuring the integrity of the election.
Yeah, I know it's all over the place and scrambled, but the point still matters. What are they buying all this ammunition and guns for?
Ukraine, probably.
Now, if it is just because they get 3% increase in their budget for firearms or whatever every year, fine. But just say that. But it's
we know
every
that.
branch of government. It's we already have SWAT in Cheektowaga. So the IRS in Cheektowaga, the FBI, just look at your local municipalities or ones around cities. Like the city, how many layers of police are in New York City? And then we're going to have the IRS on top of it being able to execute search warrants. It's crazy as well. This was brought up, but when all the police were coming back and voting and voting for Trump, and all the unions were railing Trump, you don't think there was going to be pushback, right? Like internally, I'm sure there was a fight for the police and the military at that time, and now maybe this is what we're seeing. All those people quit, all those resignations. You know, the great resignation was happening just in the average man. You know, teachers were quitting, and all these other people were quitting after the pandemic because obviously the world got crazy, but how many police officers and IRS agents or firemen or EMTs, all these good people, now the people that are replacing them are going to be subpar or not the same level of quality that we're expecting. So you could cut this so many ways, man. The IRS, like, what are you arming up for? There's always the joke, right? They caught Al Capone not for all the murders he committed, but because he didn't pay his taxes.
Yeah.
So now those people have the ability to come and execute search warrants. Because I'm sure they're going to let me be in the building like they did to former certain somebody who was.
Yeah, well, Ryan, we'll get to that. But I always like the idea. There's the old phrase, follow the money. And I think the new phrase is follow the globalists. Before we get into the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum, I think it's a good time to remind everybody of our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Pfizer and Moderna, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, and China.
And hi.
Brian, I honestly totally forgot we were sponsored by China. That reminds me, Nancy Pelosi recently had some kind words about China.
We still support the one China policy. We go there to acknowledge the status quo is what our policy is. There was nothing disruptive about that. It was only about saying China is one of the freest societies in the world.
What the fuck did she just say?
China's one of the freest societies in the world.
Dave, they're communist.
Well, they have a democratically elected leader.
For life?
Yes. Well,
it sounds like royalty.
Sort
or tyranny.
Yeah, it's kind of both of those things.
How come they couldn't shoot her airplane down?
Not that we would want such a thing, YouTube. We would never ask for that to happen.
Why make the threat if you're not going to do it? Remember the red line? Remember when Trump was like, look, if you get any closer to that boat, I'm going to blow it off the fucking map. And they didn't. And then here's China.
Because they knew
we're going to shoot Nancy Pelosi down. It was tell me it's not a distraction. The court, hold on. The freest place on earth, right? What was the term? Is that one of the fewest places?
Yeah, the freest place on earth. Also, she supports the one China policy. Also, they just happened to not shoot her plane down. I'm sure none of those things are related.
Yeah, so that's where I was going with this. The media that is ran by the state of the People's Republic of China came out when Nancy Pelosi 3 or 2 weeks ago was going to get in a plane and fly to Taiwan, which isn't even the name of a real country. So she's going to fly to a country that doesn't exist but does exist and get out and shake hands. And she was told by everybody that this is a terrible idea, and she went anyways. But then once again, the corporate Chinese media that is state-ran put out things from Xi Jinping and his military alliance or whoever is his appointed Ping Pao Ping guy came out and said that we're going to shoot her airplane down. And I'm just supposed to believe that when I seen our corporate press here in the States just literally run that on every news article, on every headline, on everybody's Facebook page was sharing this, hoping to God that it was real, right? You know how many people I see was like, just shoot it down. You know how many people I know personally like, good, let her die. It's crazy. So I'm just supposed to believe what was happening at the same time while all this was going on, David. That's weird.
For the record, we're not calling for violence of Nancy Pelosi. We're just saying if something were to happen, we wouldn't feel super bad about it.
It's just great. If this is not the clearest point of distraction I've ever seen in my life. You know what they were passing at the same time, David? A fucking climate change bill that's partnered with an inflation bill. That's what they did. And you know who's behind the climate change bill, David? Because you know what? They own all the technology and have a monopoly on making all the shit for solar panels. The Chinese.
That's unrelated, I'm sure.
Let's just make some more fucking threats. Because, there's only 2 computer chip factories in all of the world. And one of them was in Taiwan or Southeast Asia somewhere that happened to burn down during the pandemic. And a coincidental timing when all the trucks in America are just sitting in parking lots waiting to be built because they don't have microchips. So now that there's only one microchip plant, I'm just sure it has nothing to do with the Asians owning all the rare earth minerals needed that I have to buy the electric car. I don't even have a choice. And it's not that I have a choice. The people that make all the cars don't have a choice. And I wonder if they're just leveraging all the money they gave them with the PPE loans to leverage their business model against them and tell them if they don't make electric cars, we'll bankrupt you and do it anyways under the name of the United States government, Ford Motor Company. Because, we gave you $10 trillion and all for a fake virus from the very place that has a name about it.
Well, and see, okay, Brian, that leads us perfectly into this. We need to talk about this, Ryan. Time to take you to the woodshed. The WHO renames 2 monkeypox variants to avoid geographic references. The WHO is also workshopping new names for the monkeypox virus as a whole, including the disease it causes. But they don't want people referring to the virus as the China virus or the Wuhan virus due to discrimination.
I will literally call it China virus now for the rest of my life.
Maybe you didn't hear. In its best practices for infectious disease names, the WHO cautioned against using geographic locations, people's names, animal species, and other specific reasons which they don't list. You don't want to offend animal species, right?
What did that CNN anchor say earlier in the segment here? That's Orwellian?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Let's just rename America, David, after not the Frenchman. It's named after Americano or something crazy. Let's just not name anything after anybody anymore so that we know that about their life and their history. Let's not name anything about anything anymore so that we can't remember where the roots and the origin came from. Because, those who don't know your history are doomed to repeat it. So let's just forget the history of everything because it's not even important anymore because your feelings today are more important than the history we come from.
Follow the globalists, Ryan. The globalists do not want you to have control of your language, is what I'm getting out of this. I don't know if you've heard this, Ryan. Have you heard that Europe right now, they're going through some tough times. They got droughts, real climate crisis going on. They have problems with their power grid, which is amazing to me. They got a lot going on. And the World Economic Forum referenced Japan in what they went through when Fukushima exploded during the earthquake. It was an earthquake, I believe, in 2010. So the World Economic Forum put out a really handy video to just let people know what Europe can do. It's weird that they point out Russia. Here's their suggestions. Switch off the escalators. Businesses just turn their fucking lights off. That's reasonable. Just turn your unused printers off. Bring your own drinks so we can unplug the vending machines. Sports teams just moved to the afternoon instead of nighttime. Yeah, who doesn't love Monday afternoon football?
Everybody's got time to watch it, right, David?
Yeah. Oh, just dress likely so they can reduce air conditioning.
Did that say rigged cars?
Rejigged. I love this. They're going to talk about another nation. I think it was, they want to cut their gas usage by 15%. Well, that sounds nice, but people still need their gas.
Turn off the air conditioning in public buildings.
Yeah. That was Spain.
Not to wear ties to keep too cool.
Make sure you take your tie off so you stay nice and cool at work. Ryan, these sound like very legitimate suggestions.
Why are they buying up all the oceanfront property, David, if it's going to be 30 feet underwater? Why are all the banks allowing mortgages to be printed and given and money to be printed? And why are we allowing all these things to happen if the globe is just going to be swallowed up by the water underneath it?
Ryan, I don't think you're taking climate change seriously.
Yeah, I shouldn't. I shouldn't take any of it seriously because all I'm hearing that, right-wingers like to get labeled that they're climate deniers and all this stuff. And believe me, as somebody who enjoys the outdoors more than anything, I want a level of conservation that most people wouldn't even understand. But I also understand that I need to have a certain level of modern life so that we can live and grow as people. Now, I'm not saying we need to cut down trees. Maybe we should plant some more, sure. But anytime I see anything...
Just for the record, we have more trees now than at any point in history.
Yeah, we have like 1 trillion trees on Earth or something crazy.
That's some ridiculous number.
And Trump said we're going to...
Station. Shut up.
Yep, and Trump said he's going to plant 1 billion more. And then you see it on a box at Wegmans. I've talked about that on the program. But yeah, anytime... This isn't... It's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me. The very left, the leftists in this country that say all these things is a social construct and it's basically we're all brainwashed to believe these things are the ones that are ignoring basic human psychology. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. All these people, all they're offering is to give unilateral control and keep feeding it up to global policies to make everything safer. It's really a shame that nobody's alive because our governors and our statesmanship and everybody else put our grandparents in nursing homes so that they could die, so that we wouldn't have to know the history of war-torn America during World War II, because those people were the last people alive to know what global policies led to. They know what like global things lead to, because the idea of global control and all this stuff, all it is a fancy word for tyranny. It's just a fancy word for tyranny. Globalism is just World Economic Forum is a fancy name for tyranny. I mean, because what we're talking about is siphoning off our ability. And once again, they beat this into our head. We're democracy. We're democracy. We're democracy. Yeah, and you're voting to give all our power away. Are we a democracy? Are we? If global policies that I didn't vote for, you didn't vote for, Joe Biden didn't vote for anything the World Economic Forum did. Joe Biden didn't vote for anything that the World Health Organization did. But his people did. But I didn't vote for that guy that sits on that board at that country. I thought we're a democracy.
Well, that brings up, we've always talked about it.
And last week we showed you the clip that they admitted that they fund both sides of the political aisle. What more do we need proof? It's just a box. This is the modern royalty. This has been said for a long time and stuff, but like we're literally seeing it. And it's because Gen Zers who now can vote, my little brother's generation, he's 17, going to be 18 next year, he can vote, doesn't know fucking anything. He doesn't know anything. He was asking me about 401ks and stuff. He don't know anything about world history, world wars. He knows nothing about the foundation of this country. He knows nothing about liberty. They know nothing. They get all their information from fucking TikToks. Their brains are so wired to be dumbed down that they can't even have a long-form conversation. They can't even be involved in a discussion that doesn't like get off topic about some dumbass stuff. And then they're sedated with drugs and pornography and vaping and football. I like football too. I like politics more though. Right, Dave? Yeah. It's just like this whole idea. And then I'm going to be lectured by these same people that have been raised in this system. And this is what we get. We're going to be told to turn all our stuff off. Peak hours. You know what peak hours means? It's going to be hot as fuck and we can't have electricity. And it's also, this is also what you got to put together, right? Even if it's all, oh my God, my business just turned the AC off. You know what that means? It will be too hot for you to work at your job, so you'll have to come back at third shift and work overnight. And then you'll have to probably stay because, at 12 o'clock tomorrow, it's going to be too hot to work. So you're going to have to work till 11. And then you're going to have to come back at 3 because, you need money to live and all because 40-year high inflation's and all.
That's exactly what they said in that video, though, is that they switched the shifts that the car manufacturers were working so they could make the cars at times when the electricity was less used.
No, David, the car manufacturers didn't shift their schedules. All of the fucking workers did. Politics doesn't affect your life. It changed my work schedule.
Ryan, we've said on this program many times that unelected bureaucrats are a huge, huge issue.
Oh, globalism is inevitable. It was said how long ago? A year?
Oh, God, we've been talking about that for a long time. More than a year, definitely.
2 years? That was before the 2020 election that just magically has mail-in ballots.
That was totally legitimate. Totally legitimate 2020 election. Yeah, so unelected bureaucrats, definitely a huge issue. Globalism, huge issue. But the nation's most powerful unelected bureaucrat, active president, Joseph Biden, apparently has not been informed about the Trump FBI raid, according to Karine Jean-Pierre, who we just listened to. They didn't know it was happening. They learned about it in the news like everybody else.
No way.
Yeah.
No
Interestingly
way,
enough, yeah.
The president didn't know about the raid on the former president. You know what we call that in the grand conspiracy world? The little magic dragon. It's called plausible deniability. I didn't know anything about what was going on.
He had no idea. But the FBI is being very transparent, Ryan. Vox News has the scoop.
I wonder if the warrant was signed
search
when he had COVID. Fucking A, man. I'm sorry.
Well,
I wonder if they signed all the shit when Biden had COVID 2 weeks ago and sent all the little raid gear up. Oh, Biden has COVID. Can't talk to the FBI this week.
For the first or second time he had COVID that week.
Yeah, you're not supposed to get it once. We have to lock down everything, but Joe Biden can catch the thing fucking twice and live.
Vox has the scoop, Ryan. The warrant authorizing the FBI's search of Trump's home is unsealed, and it's alarming. And by unsealed, they meant the thing that issues the warrant. So the search warrant, not including the affidavit signed and approved by the court. It's missing the key piece that led to the warrant. The whole reason for the existence of the warrant is not available. You can't see it.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the amendments, isn't it, David?
Who signed the affidavit? What did the affidavit say? These are key pieces of information that are not released.
David, I'm sure Trump will challenge it in court and get thrown out, right?
I'm sure it will. The Vox article, too, before I forget, said something that I thought was interesting. Trump decried the search, claiming in a statement incorrectly that his home was under siege and occupied by a large group of FBI agents.
How can they say the statement's unclear if they don't even have the documents to prove that the raid, I'm sure all the paperwork for that raid would say we need 60 FBI agents with this amount of gear at this time, with this place, with all of this stuff. This person gave us this information. I'm sure that's all on that little piece of paper that they can't open.
For the record, Vox is stating that he wasn't raided by the FBI while writing an article about him being raided by the FBI. Just for the record.
These are the people that are given fact checks. The ability of
opinion checks. Ryan, the FBI raid of former President Trump, possibly future President Trump.
I hope so, dude. It'd be so crazy.
There is a lot that is still unknown. A lot that's still unknown. They're basically saying that he had classified documents, which for the record they knew about because they padlocked the room that had the classified documents. And then they broke the padlock to raid the classified documents that they knew he had. And now they're saying they're top secret and they weren't declassified. Trump's saying they were declassified. Obviously, we don't know the answers to these things right now, so we're waiting to see. And I'm sure we won't have the answer until after the midterm, which is interesting because I remember that there was a person, I think he's in charge, Merrick Garland, who said that he doesn't like to bring charges so close to midterms, but now we're raiding former President Donald Trump. We won't do anything with Hunter Biden because we don't like doing anything so close to midterms. It's not good. But we're going to raid Donald Trump's house.
Maybe that was one of the surprises that guy talked about on CNN the other day, last week. We got a few surprises for the right-wingers.
Yeah, we got a few surprises. Surprise! It's a raid. Surprise! Mail-in ballots. Because of a new virus that's just monkeypox, but we renamed it because it's inappropriate to name it after monkeys.
Even though we're a type of fucking monkey? Allegedly. To Darwinism. We should just get rid of names. We don't want to offend anybody. Yeah, you're right. Let's get rid of Darwin. Let's just wipe him off the face of the map as well as Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Donald Trump, all these other names. David, quick question here about this whole declassified conundrum that we're in here, this black bar scheme that they're having.
Yeah.
Who do you think has more declassification power, the President of the United States or the Federal Bureau of Investigation?
Oh, the president is, to my knowledge, the only person who has power to declassify documents.
Wonderful. Then how the hell does the FBI even say that they're classified documents, basically, that he's not allowed to have, but Trump could have declassified them for him to grab or have them and still be classified, and the FBI wouldn't even know about the documents to begin with?
So my understanding is they fully acknowledge that he has the power to declassify. They're just saying he didn't.
That they know of.
Which really, at this point, yeah, then they don't even know the answer to it because they tell you they don't know the answer to this. But at that point, we're splitting hairs, right? At this point,
we're not splitting hairs that they're SWAT-ing people based on like illegibility. Like they did. Do you remember when he said an attack on me and his attack on you?
Yes.
What am I supposed to think when the IRS has millions of bullets sitting by waiting for me to not claim my cryptocurrency fucking profits?
You didn't fill out that tax correctly. Better send 87,000 agents to your house.
Fucking Black Hawk helicopters. I mean, we...
Don't mind us. We're going to be in this room unwatched for many hours. We'll tell you our findings later.
Yeah, this is crazy. The whole splitting hairs and all this stuff like, we would assume that he could just take this to court and it would get thrown out, David. But I doubt it. They impeached Trump twice over bullshit. What do you think they're going to do about classified doc? You know, I saw the CNN released an article actually today I caught. And they said that he had like 11 or 13 documents.
Yeah.
13. They did this for 13. Do you remember when Hillary Clinton deleted tens of thousands of classified documents?
30,000 plus, I believe.
Of classified information?
Yeah, but she deleted the email, so really she was just...
So you're saying Trump should have burned Mar-A-Lago down?
Yeah, you should have just burned all the paperwork and then it would have been fine.
This is literally what happened to our founding fathers. This is why you have the 4th and 5th Amendment in particular, double jeopardy, all these things. This is why you have them. And we're watching them being violated. I seen a video this week that said cancel culture on the internet is priming people to be disappeared. Because think about it. Because social media is the greatest social conditioning tool that they have. We've pointed out political Stockholm syndrome here on a couple times on a couple different things. Gaslighting is also the other term they use for it. But they definitely do that to re-engineer us. I mean, they call a re-education camp for Department of Homeland Security. So you don't think they're going to be utilizing. But the whole premise of the idea is that, I mean, look at what they say about video games. If you watch violent images, it will desensitize you to violence. So let's just use that logic that they use about video games and violence and copy and paste it to watching people disappear. Like, why? It's just, if it's psychology is been studied for over 100 years. It's not wrong. Biology too. Like, it's not wrong. We know it's going to happen. And then we talk about it on one side of the aisle, but not to think it's going to happen the other way. So it's a powerful thought, but I believe it's true. And now we're seeing implications of the violation of just straight common laws and things that have been in place in Western societies for 1,000 years. Once again, I've told you guys that like literally millions of people have died to just give you constitutional rights. Like literally millions and millions and millions of people.
They're getting raided by the FBI.
They gotta be coming for me, man. It's the only reasonable explanation.
They're digging through Ryan's stuff, trying to figure out what's going on.
I'm just gonna say one more thing about the Trump raid. I seen an article, it might have even been a CNN or something like that, but they talked about how the FBI followed every bit of they basically did everything by the book. The media wasn't informed. There was no leaks. It was a real tight-lipped operation. They did it by the book.
Yeah, the president didn't even know.
Yeah. It's just so incredible when we see people familiar with the matter. Inside leak the Supreme Court that they're going to do something with the board. You know, like...
I saw Kamala Harris...
This is all just by accident. I'm sitting here in my blue suit.
Yeah, Kamala Harris said something interesting. She was the one in the blue suit.
She was a lady?
She, her. She was speaking to at the table. She said, because apparently there's fallout from this. People are mad, calling for violence against the FBI. And she said that we need to remember that we need to always support our law enforcement officials. So I think it's important that we... What? I think Ryan, she's correct. We have to support our law enforcement officials.
Dave, they voted to defund the police at a party, at their party's main platform in the last major election.
Well, yeah, they did do that, but they want to. These police specifically, the FBI.
Oh, because they're federal agents and they could be swayed by the... It's funny that the federal government didn't know what the federal government was doing. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the unelected bureaucrats, don't worry, the elected people didn't know what the unelected people were doing at all.
Dave sent me an article the other day. It talked about how there is forever chemicals in all of the water on Earth.
Yeah, well, it's all, mostly mixed together. Picks it up and evaporates and rains. You know how weather works.
Even at the fucking ice wall in Antarctica.
Yeah.
All of the water. Imagine the global government we need to clean all that water, David.
Do you think this is turning all the frogs gay, Ryan?
It's probably turning our men gay.
That would explain the spike.
And the pegs. Let's think about it. Forever chemicals in all of the water. You can't get rid of them. They're there forever. You can't fucking reverse osmosis this shit out of there. It's Teflon and all these other crazy chemicals we've invented. Not affecting my daughter at all. Not affecting our fertility at all. It's not changing the sky at all. I wonder if there's some fucking chemtrail exhaust in there, David. I wonder if some of the chemicals found in some of the most common chemtrails are found in that water, David. Some of those forever chemicals.
Oh, Ryan, that's just smoke from the engines or whatever the fuck they say it is.
I have a proposition. The December party, Dave and I will lead this. We will split vice presidency. There's no president here. There's two kings, just like in Sparta back, thousands of years ago. Dave and I will lead the coalition of the December Nation. And we will clear all of the water of these forever chemicals, even if it takes us forever.
Ooh, I like this idea.
What we're going to do is need 99% of every country's GDP to make it happen. Because we're just going to build giant Brita charcoal filters in the middle of the ocean.
I do have a RODI device in my basement for purifying water.
We'll just run it through there a couple times. I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm joking and jesting, obviously. YouTube, that's impossible. You'd probably need like reverse osmosis, not charcoal. But
reverse osmosis deionization, to be more specific.
This is crazy. This isn't going anywhere. This is all this climate change bill. This is Agenda 21. The very people that made the fucking chemicals and said, don't worry about the fucking chemicals, are now saying that the fucking chemicals are dangerous. And then we're going to have to rationalize and utilize all of our federal and global policies to quell local business. I'm sure the local business down the street has all the money in the world to pay fines and regulations, David, when they just happen to have one of those forever chemicals in a bottle that they couldn't get rid of because it's forever. Well, look at you. We tapped your ground. You got some forever chemicals. We can't tell when they got there, so you got to pay the fine now, even though the last guy could have dumped them there. Can't tell they're there forever. This is they're literally just defining shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Forever. Do we know how forever is? Like, it's literally forever. Like, yeah,
it's like forever. Until everything ends.
We won't even be there when we won't even be alive forever. And they're saying, yeah, we know right now that they're around forever. It just doesn't make any sense. Just say they're lifetime chemicals. They're generational chemicals. No,
it's longer than that.
No, we don't know that. We don't know that. This is a lie. I'm not going to be lied to on English my whole life. I could barely pass fucking high school. I'll be damned if the people that taught me everything are suddenly going to change their mind. We don't know. If they're going to redefine gender and what fucking recession means, they better redefine this one. Forever's not even real because we won't be here forever from now. They're generational chemical. I'm so tired of this. These people have lost their mind. But it is kind of funny because I tried telling people. All right, this is kind of like a Decembertainment and a bitch about Joe Rogan at the same damn time.
Uh-oh. He's never going to invite you on at this rate, Ryan.
He shouldn't. Why would he? Because I would unveil. The Emperor has no clothes. It would be the fucking... What is this? The Wizard of Oz? The man behind the curtain? I'm the dumbass little dog that smells shit? Like, what are we talking about? This is my problem with this guy. I love him. I've said 100 times. It was episode 1852 with Sam Tripoli. Okay? Sam Tripoli is like a comedian, podcaster, conspiracy theorist, probably alt-ring, gay frog denying, Trump supporting ideology, Christian lover. I don't know about any of that. I'm just making this up. But in all seriousness, he's a super big conspiracy dude. The podcast itself, one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life was they were talking about time traveling Nazi aliens.
Okay. That seems realistic.
But my bitch, okay? Okay? Joe Rogan isn't free. He doesn't have free speech. Joe Rogan can say he has free speech. Joe Rogan can say he has fuck you money. Joe Rogan can say all of these things. He can have on the wisest people about certain topics. Joe Rogan can discuss anything. Joe Rogan can be on stuff for horses and live through it. But you know what Joe Rogan can't say? Joe Rogan can't say that he's free. Because every time Sam Tripoli said something, he had to say, Jamie, look that up to make sure that that's real.
It was not the FBI update.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad Dave's Mar-A-Lago suite's fine.
I have not yet been raided by the FBI because I'm in a secret underground lair. Talking about forever chemicals.
The frogs are gay.
Sam Tripoli was on Joe Rogan.
So
talking about Nazi aliens time traveling.
Every time that Sam even remotely started touching something, Joe was like, let's look that up to make sure it's right. Now, we could sit here and break this down all day, which I will gladly do because I miss when Joe Rogan could just be silly.
He was silly. He was silly on YouTube. YouTube allowed him to be silly.
I miss it because he would just entertain this shit, right? He would just entertain it, and Sam could just go all the way. Even if it was crazy, he could do it all the way, and it was fine. And we all knew that, like, on the other side, there's a certain level of entertainment and information here. And it changes, right? Like, it's not all one or the other. It's both. It's what made it the Joe Rogan experience. He's a stoner pothead, psychedelic, trippy, hippie comedian talking to an astrophysicist and psychologist. It's like literally the crux of the show. And now it's been vacuumed out of it. Because what? CNN... Because of the N-word? Because that's what it took. Alex Jones, Milo. That's what it took. But Joe's going to get up there. He's going to get up there all the time and act like he's speaking for all these people. When it seems to me that you'd be the first chance you'd get, you'd sell us out. You would sell us out. You sold out freedom. And don't tell me I'm being obnoxious with this. Don't tell me this is a waste of time. Don't tell me this is Joe Rogan hate. Everything he said, Jamie, let's look it up to make sure it's right. Of course it's going to be disproved. Guy couldn't even explain anything. He couldn't even go all the way. The whole point of a fucking conspiracy is that it's not going to be look-upable. Isn't that like the whole idea of a conspiracy? Is that
it would be a grand conspiracy that people are covering up. That's the entire purpose.
And what did that guy say about the Hunter Biden laptop thing on PBD? He said that most of the people that talk aren't ever heard from again, but CNN's got all the inside sources that are still alive, right? What are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? But you're all there for Dave Chappelle, for jokes. Imagine if every joke somebody said we had to check the audience to see if it was funny. That's the same thing he did on that podcast. It's the same exact thing.
Hey, Jamie, look this up and see if it's funny real quick.
And this is the guy. Ask everybody in the audience if my joke is funny. But he gets up there and talks about the art form, right? Let's just label conspiracy theory an art form so that I have freedom of speech finally, so that I can say anything I want without being censored finally, because I have thoughts finally. This is what I was talking to you, David. I text you. The First Amendment is the most powerful thing ever in the history of humanity. The Second Amendment's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. The Bible is a book. It's not a sword. Words are forever. They're forever. They last generations. They last all of human history. The words we speak are made from millions of people coming together and forming coalitions and trading. Eventually birth mercantilism and capitalism. The same thing we're living now. Nothing's changed. We just were able to write it down and people actually believed it. And now the guy that stands and gets people on, I have you on, so I know what you're, I just want to give you a platform. I don't want to help the former president, but he can get fucking raided and we can know nothing about it. And then Joe Rogan can ask if we can have freedom, if we can have firearms and freedoms. You don't even understand what you're talking about. This is the guy we go to, though, right? This is the guy he's the guy we'd all vote to go talk to aliens for us. What, so he can get on a spaceship and fucking fly away and leave us here to burn with Elon? Right, because he's just going to put a robot chip in my head to make my life infinitely better, right? But I've read how many books, how many millions of things have been passed along human nature saying about tyranny. Those who stand for nothing would fall for everything. What are we even talking? How does Joe Rogan have credibility? The whole idea of conspiracy is that the shit isn't even, you can't even define it. The problem is so much stuff that was called a conspiracy has been proven true. And then Joe Rogan has to sit there in real time because he's worried about a paycheck. But he's free, right? Dave and I do. We put nothing but our time in buying some stuff for this program. This doesn't pay my bills. I'm technically free to say anything I want. You can delete all the videos. They're gonna be gone. I don't care. What's my initial investment other than having fun, having a hobby, trying to educate, all the things that Dave and I enjoy about this. This is why we do it. It's not to make money. We'd like to. That's not the goal. But what if when we finally get there and we're making money and it pays my bills and my daughter's colleges and now I can't say things. Now I have to censor guests. But art form comedy is the leading art form of all. It's the freedom of speech in motion. I could say anything on stage, but then you're self-censoring. Orwellian, right? Even though we don't know what the fuck that means anymore. But that's the guy. He's the guy. Keep going to him, guys. Tim Pool, too. Mr. Fence sitter. Oh, I just want to report on the news. While they raid you? You're in the middle and you didn't even pick a side and they're fucking with you. What is that telling you? Look at Schindler's List. Watch that movie. Remember the red coat, Dave? If we only had a red coat in 2022, we could keep focus on that so we didn't lose sight of the imagery of what we were doing, what we were allowing historically. What's crazy is I'm not even a historian. What's crazy is I'm not even a veteran. What's crazy is it's just me and Dave and our followers at December 1773, Mondays at 7, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. Thank you guys for everything, your time, especially if you made it to the end. I appreciate that the most. I'll see you guys there on Monday. I love you. I'll talk to you.
Thanks. See you, everybody.
Bye.